Got a schedule about what we're going to be doing today? All right. Go ahead and start. Welcome to our farm. I'm Bill Dunn, and this is our farm. These are our bees you'll be going through. A little bit of housekeeping here. There's the bathrooms. Ladies, if you grab your car and go back to your this way, Sonic Preserve is right up the road. Both sides have nice facilities. So when you need to, just help yourself. A little bit about our place here. Funny little story that happened years ago. We were here at bee school doing what we do best, learning about bees. And got through with the school, went to my father's house. And the first thing he said when I walked through the door is, "Come here, sit down, I got to tell you a story." Long about 9:30, 10 o'clock, he gets a phone call, chewing him out. Dad says, what am I doing? What's going on? He said, "You ought to know what's going on." Slammed the phone down. A few minutes later, another phone call. He gets chewed out for something he didn't know. Something was going on that was wrong. Slammed the phone down. A little while later, a buddy of his called. He said, "Bob, I can't believe you're allowing that on your property." He said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You know what's going on. We don't even try to deny it." He said, "Mike, what's going on?" He said, "They've got a Klan rally in your pasture. They're all dressed in white and they're burning the cross." He said, "Did you see the cross?" "No." He said, "Did you look at the people in white?" He said, "No, but they're all dressed." He said, "Turn around and look. You go back and see, you'll see they're beekeepers. And the smoke you're seeing is from their smokers." So, you never know what's going to happen. All right, how the day goes by, real quick, let's take our phones and put them all on silence so we don't get disturbed through all this. It's divided into several different things. First of all, we're going to teach you how to light a smoker, and that's very important because it goes bad if you're in the bees and the smoker doesn't work. Then we're going to teach you how to put your protective equipment on, because the last thing we want you to do is get stung. But being a beekeeper, you better be used to being stung because you're going to get stung. Then what we'll do, I got Rodney, who's going to be talking to you a little about swarms. Then we'll break into two groups. One group will go over here, and another group will go over here. That's a long walk. Terry will be running this one over here. What you'll actually be doing is physically going through the beehives. So today, you've never touched the beehive. Today, you're going to do it. The other group's going to go with me over and down the hill, and I'll be going through the beehive, showing you how I work my bees. Then we'll come back together about lunchtime, 12 o'clock, have lunch, and then about 12:30, 1 o'clock, we'll split groups back up. The group that went with me will go over here. The group that went here will go with me down the hill. About 45, 50 minutes later, we'll come back. We'll do a class on queen problems that you're going to see. And then I got another fellow, Butch Shelton, who's going to close us out with how to make a divide. And then we'll get together for a quick little question and answer. Any kind of questions you have, today's the day to do it. Speaking of questions, are there any questions so far? Y'all want to sleep? All right. First thing we're going to teach you how to do is do smokers. And I've got Terry here to teach you how to do smokers. Did everybody bring their smokers? Good deal.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Hope everybody's doing well. So, like Bill said, smoker is one of the most important things you got to have. The two things you really got to have is a smoker and a hive tool, and a veil comes in handy. There's a lot of other things you can get, but a smoker is an absolute must. So they come in different sizes. You can get little tiny ones. You can get tall ones. This is pretty much average. And I think all of them today come with this grate on there so you don't get burned. I got an older one that doesn't have this. You have to be careful with that. You set the world on fire. But so first things first, there's a grate down in here at the bottom. It comes out. Everybody needs to know how to get that in and out, because you'll have to clean under that from time to time. Notice it has little legs on there. When you put that in, you don't want to block this hole. There's a hole there for your bellows. So you want to make sure that that hole lines up between these legs, not with the leg in front of that hole, because if you do, it ain't going to smoke right. So place that in there. Make sure you're not blocking the hole. Let's try this again. How's that? So once you get used to lighting it, you can light it any way you want. I like to use a torch, but if you're going for your certification, they don't let you use a torch. You have to use matches or a lighter, I'm not sure. Matches? Well, I didn't bring matches, but I did bring a lighter. So you get the general idea. So what you want to do is make sure you got dry straw. Always dry. Get you a bucket with, preferably with a lid. Make sure you got dry straw. And just get a little bit and light it. Make sure it's going good. And put it down in there. You want your fire in the bottom. You don't want your fire on the top, your straw in the bottom. You want your fire in the bottom. You have to puff it. It's important. Make sure you're giving it air. Otherwise, you snuff it out. So once you get that going, you just keep adding the straw. Keep puffing the whole time. And like I said, if your straw is good and dry, you can pack it in. That's why you want dry straw, so you can pack it in. Always puff it. That's the key. Puff it and pack it. And I like to just go ahead and fill it up while I'm at it, because if you pack it full, it'll burn a good while. I got my hives in like groups of half a dozen here and a half a dozen there, and I fill it up. I can go through a half a dozen hives easy without having to touch it again. Sometimes I might get a dozen without having to go back to it. So you pack it full dry. I use pine straw. You can use whatever you want. I mean, they make stuff that you can buy. I don't know what it is. I never bought any of it. I always just use straw. You can use hay. Around my house, pine straw is plentiful. You can use oak leaves if you want to. I have used oak leaves. They don't seem like, to me, they work quite as well as pine straw. And so I just use pine straw. I just go out under my pines and rake up a little bit, put it in my bucket, and make sure I keep it dry and good to go. Once you get that thing going right, it'll burn for a while without going out. But every once in a while you want to puff it. Anybody got any questions about smokers? Yes, ma'am.
Put any newspaper or anything in there?
I don't use anything but pine straw. You could put newspaper in the bottom if you want to help get it going, or whatever works for you. But dry straw works fine for me. Like I said, you can buy stuff at bee catalogs and bee supplies, they make all kinds of pellets and things you put in there, and all of it works. But to me, you know, I got pine straw for free, so that's what I use. Because you get enough, you spend enough money in other areas, or I do. Anybody else?
You pack it in really tight?
I pack it in, yes sir. Now if your straw is damp, obviously you can't pack it that tight, but if you keep your straw dry, you can pack it in there and pack it in there and pack it in there, and it'll be fine. If it's damp, you have to leave a little, you know, a little room, breathing room, and you have to puff it more if you got wet straw. But yeah, I pack it full, because if you don't, it's going to burn up really quick. You have too much air, and not enough fuel, it'll burn right through it. If you pack it in there, it'll burn a long time. More the better.
So when you get out there, are you going to show us kind of when to apply the smoke when we approach the hives?
Absolutely, we're going to do that right over there in just a little while. We'll cover all that over there. But first, you got to have a smoker lit and ready. Like I said, it's very important. You don't want to walk up to a hive and it be out, especially if you've already you know, crack the lid off, and then all of a sudden you reach and, uh-oh, you know. So you basically go in smoker blaring, smoker blazing, but make sure your smoker's ready at all times because it comes in handy. Smoke, I don't know if you're aware, but smoke does a couple things. It calms the bees. It blocks the pheromone is what it does, because they play by sense of smell. So it blocks the alarm pheromone, because anytime if you just go in there and snatch the lid off of it, they're going to sound the alarm in the form of a pheromone that puts them in defense mode. So if you block their sense of smell, then they can't sound the alarm. So you can just go in basically undetected. Everybody got their smoker and got their fuel? Any more questions? No, it's pretty self-explanatory. But like I said, once you don't have to light it with matches and a lighter when you're at home, but if you're going for certification, they don't let you use torches. But I like a trigger start torch, because if it goes out, I can fire it back up with a quickness. All right, everybody get your smokers out. Let's get them going. We'll get the show on the road. Plenty of dry straw, I like it.
Should I put more now or just wait?
I put a little bit more.
I said I didn't feel comfortable lighting it.